Hello, good evening. Welcome to North West Tonight with Roger Johnson. Monday evening, thank you for your company. Our top story. Major disruption to roads and rail this evening as fire rips through a disused mill in Manchester city centre. More buildings are being evacuated right now as firefighters tackle the flames, and we will have the very latest for you. Also tonight, Save Our Stuff, a plea from the people whose possessions are in a storage building which is threatened with demolition.
It's people's livelihoods, it's people's prized possessions. For me, it's my father who's passed away, it's all his stuff.
The Southport head teachers throwing themselves headfirst into raising money in Elsie's name.
You know, this is for Elsie.
Yeah, I'll stop.
Last year was fantastic. This year is amazing. I mean, it's joyous. That's what it is. It's just joyous.
Back by popular demand, remembering hairy biker Dave Myers as thousands ride into Barrow again.
And wind was certainly right today, very windy indeed, but after a poor start, brightened up really quite nicely for most of us. How are we doing for tomorrow and, of course, the rest of the week? Join me at the end of the programme. I'll give you all the details.
Let's start with that breaking news, which is causing chaos in the centre of Manchester tonight. A major fire in one of the city centre's oldest buildings. Emergency services called to the Hotspur Press, an old mill near Oxford Road Station. The building is over 200 years old. Julia Bold has been following developments and looking at some of the pictures coming in, Julia. It's pretty dramatic. What do we know?
Yeah, there's been thick plumes of smoke that you can see for miles around. So we know that crews were called at 4:30 this afternoon. And as you can imagine, it's causing major disruption tonight. So nearby apartment buildings are being evacuated. That's as a precaution. Firstly, on the trains, no services in or out of Oxford Road. Many roads in the city centre also closed tonight. Now, the building that is on fire is thought to be the Hotspur Press building, one of the oldest in Manchester, over 225 years old. It was a cluster of mills at the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. Now, over the years, there have been plans to redevelop the site, the latest of which, given the go-ahead last year, were plans for a 36-storey student housing tower. That work was stopped, though, when an application went in for listed status. So emergency services tonight remain at the scene. People are also being asked to stay away.
Brilliant, Julia. Thank you. We'll try and update you at home before the end of the programme on that. Thank you, Julia. Next tonight, priceless family memories and furniture for people who've been made homeless and expensive business stock. All of those things are inside a storage unit in Greater Manchester, which was partly destroyed by fire last week. But now dozens of the people who rented space at the unit in Middleton are pleading with its owners not to demolish it without first trying to salvage their possessions. They say no amount of compensation or insurance money would make up for the loss, as Phil McCann reports.
Last Wednesday, a fire in a nondescript building which has had a huge emotional impact.
I didn't believe it, and I got there and I just burst out crying.
My whole life is pretty much packed up, put in where you think is a safe storage unit, ready to start afresh.
To be honest, everything in there is invaluable. I can't ever even replace it if I tried.
I don't know. I don't really want to get my hopes up.
The charity Cold Hands Warm Hearts had one of the self-storage units at Storage World to store the sleeping bags, clothes and equipment for the food that they give out to the homeless of Greater Manchester every week.
So ours was round the back of here, on the ground floor.
There was smoke coming out of every window. There was around about 14 fire engines. Everything that we take out for the homeless, clothing, hats, gloves, scarves, everything was in that unit.
So the fire brigade is still here. You can still smell smoke in the air. You can still see small bits of smoke from parts of that building. This end of the complex is very heavily fire damaged, but go to the other end and it looks, at least, like a very different story. That's where Caitlin has her unit. She and her 5-year-old son are about to be made homeless, but she believes what was in there is salvageable.
My unit was literally just over there. I've had stuff put in there for when I'm going into temporary accommodation to set me up. It was sort of setting, it's my safety net. at threat of losing the rest of my stuff.
Molly's unit is just a few doors down. It's full of mementos and possessions that belonged to her dad, Warren, who died 2 years ago at 48. Some friends have filmed from a drone directly above her unit, which she says isn't badly damaged.
It just seems to be smoke damage, so I want it back.
The problem? The roof and some walls were removed over the weekend to help fight the fire. Now the fire service has left, Rochdale Council's building control has said the rest needs knocking down too. And the building's owners say that means it's not safe to enter.
I'm so angry at the fact it's sat there fine, and there's potential that they're just willing to flatten a building with things in it that, you know, people would want back.
The association representing self-storage firms spoke to us on behalf of Storage World. They insist there will be an effort to salvage possessions during or after demolition, but not before.
We still want to make sure that if there are goods inside the building that are salvageable, and there is a safe way of salvaging them, then we do that. Nobody has been injured in this fire, and we certainly don't want to have anybody injured during the salvage or the demolition model.
So those memories that didn't go up in smoke may now be torn apart. Phil McCann, BBC North West Tonight, Middleton.
Now, 2 women and a man have been arrested in connection with the murder of a 37-year-old man in Blackburn over the weekend. The body of Paul Scott was found at a house on Peridot Close in the early hours of yesterday morning. A major road through Cumbria has closed today as part of a £38 million project to tackle potholes. The A6 at Shap will be shut for 3 weeks for resurfacing and drainage work. Now, courts heard that a man who claimed to be a millionaire defrauded people out of hundreds of thousands of pounds, which he said would be used to buy and sell designer handbags. Jack Watkin is alleged to have offered a business opportunity to people who would loan him a large sum of money to trade in Hermes bags. Yunus Muller was in court. He joins us now live. The prosecution, Yunus, alleging then that the 26-year-old was involved in a dishonest enterprise.
Roger, this case is about handbags, including the buying and selling of the luxury brand Hermes. Now, this is a bag you can't just go and buy in the shops. You have to be invited to buy the handbag, and that makes its resale value much higher than the original price, and there's a huge demand for these bags. Now, Jack Watkin, who's 26 and from Alderley Edge, defrauded, it's claimed, 6 complainants by setting up a business in the buying and selling of these handbags. For the prosecution, Matthew Kerowis-Jones told the jury the defendant put forward the outward facade of a glamorous and luxurious lifestyle. This seems to engender trust and led a number of individuals to loan him large sums of money on the promise of either a financial return or luxury items, neither of which materialised. Now, Jack Watkin faces a number of charges of theft and fraud. A number of complainants, including Hannah Jakes, who he'd known for 10 years. She's said to have lost around £233,000, and also his own father, Jason Watkin, who lent him £29,000.
And it was when one of the complainants became suspicious, Yunus, that the police were called.
That complainant was Christian Colbert, who runs Dress Cheshire. She is said to have lost around £50,000. In fact, the court was told that she put a post up on social media warning other people of Jack Watkin. One of the complainants came forward. They set up a meeting with him and he was arrested. Now, after arrest, an investigation was carried out, and it was found that he spent large sums of money on hotels and luxury items. The court was told that he maintains that he set up a legitimate business. He didn't steal any money or handbags from anyone. The trial here is expected to last into next week.
Yunus, thank you. Yunus Muller there. Now, while many people are living longer than ever, older people here in the north suffer more ill health than those in the south. And in a new report, the Northern Health Science Alliance highlights stark inequalities, including poverty, poor housing and loneliness, and is calling for action.
It is the only protected characteristic that we all share, yet we do not age equally. So what we need is cross-government policies on good housing, good transport, access to employment, especially in mid to later life, to reduce the potential impact of long-term poverty. We also need access to nutrition, good food.
Well, over the coming weeks, we're going to be looking at the issue of ageing and how to age well. We'll start with 2 Liverpool hospitals, which are rethinking their approach to geriatric care, as Lindsay Prosser has been finding out.
and I'm going to be looking after you today.
Thank you very much.
Right, so your vision being normal.
George is being assessed after having a fall.
The hypotension, postural hypertension.
I've been well looked after, really well looked after, but obviously you're better off at home if you can be, like, you know.
George has a greater chance of going home quickly as he's been admitted to the Royal Liverpool Hospital's same-day emergency care unit. Frail patients are assessed and treated with the aim of discharging them on the same day.
75 to 80% are discharged on the same day, and those who are admitted tend to be discharged the following day. So it seems to be working.
I'm going to be looking after you today.
Frailty units were made an NHS priority in 2023. Every acute hospital in the North West now has a frailty service, and there are plans to expand the provision. The units can take the pressure off A&E departments by assessing frail patients quickly, but getting the appropriate care in place for a rapid discharge can be challenging.
They end up staying in hospital when they don't need to be here, putting themselves at risk of picking up hospital-acquired infections, becoming delirious and getting acutely confused.
And get you down.
Kathy Johnson wants to be at home. She's not been well for a while and was fearful of waiting for hours in a busy A&E department.
We can get it all done in a day. I can go back to work tomorrow and I know she's sorted and done, do you know what I mean? In no time.
Nice one, shortly.
Go on, last one.
For those needing a longer hospital stay, nearby Broad Green Hospital is rethinking rehabilitation.
Even some of our patients, they feel like they need a time of convalescence is the usual word that they use. You know, a little bit of being nursed in bed and looked after. We need to rethink that. We need to keep our independence. You know, it's great us being here to help them. However, you know, you live your best life when you're active.
Patients are encouraged to exercise as soon as possible. Reconditioning their muscles and building fitness means they can stay mobile. Discos are held regularly and are considered an important part of patients' recovery.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to going home, yeah. Well, I think this helps you on your way. It's very good.
Are you hoping to go home soon then?
Very soon, yes. Yeah.
And how does that feel?
Oh, celebrations.
Research has shown that the work here means patients spend less time in hospital and are less likely to be readmitted. Lindsay Prosser, BBC North West Tonight, Liverpool.
This is the one thing, isn't it? Everyone wants to get home. That looks like my kind of disco. We'll have more on the issue of getting old. It's affecting all of us, isn't it? In the weeks ahead. Now, here are some of the other stories that people are reading this evening from BBC News. And 2 people were rescued by the Morecambe lifeboat crew after their dinghy got stuck in the mud after heavy rain and winds. You can read that on the Lancashire page. Traders at Tommyfield Market in Oldham have been told that the opening of their new building has been delayed. You can hear from Justin Briley, get his thoughts on that. And also a Liverpool grandmother whose cat was shot multiple times with an air rifle has been told it'll cost her £10,000 to get the pellets removed. You can find out about that on the Merseyside pages. You can read it all at bbc.co.uk/local news, or as always, have a look on the BBC News app. Now, next month will mark the first anniversary of the Southport stabbings, and over recent months, the families of Alice Aguirre, B.B. King and Elsie Stankham here have done numerous challenges in their memory, from marathons to blood donation drives. Well, now they can add skydiving to that list because Elsie's 2 head teachers took the ultimate plunge at the weekend to raise funds for a charity set up in her name. Oh my goodness, they've got nerves of steel, haven't they? That was Adrian Antell and Jenny Sefton jumping from 15,000 feet. Well, Anna Jameson has been to their school today, Farnborough Road Primary in Southport, to see what the children think of their daredevil head teachers.
15,000 feet, that's a lot. Very high.
we raised about £15,000 for it as well. So £15,000, 15,000 feet. And we were talking before, if they went as high as they had raised, let's say they raised a million feet in the air.
Where would they be?
Oh, gosh.
When Mr. Antel was describing it in detail in the assembly, I would be absolutely terrified. I wouldn't shake, I would just go still, wouldn't be able to talk, and I'd go white. So, yeah, I'm really proud of him, and he's definitely pushed us to do something else and conquer our fears.
Yeah, I'm actually really proud. And I made something for Mr. Antel and Miss Sefton. It's an Elsie Story little bracelet. It's just their friendship bracelets, and they resemblance, like, happiness.
And it was a big thing that Taylor Swift's about.
Yeah, Elsie did love Taylor Swift.
What do you think she would have made of it?
I think she would have loved it. I don't talk about it, but I think about it a lot, and just... People say this will never happen to me, but it just proves that it could.
It's really sad that the tragedy did happen, but it's made people be kinder, and it brings us together.
Fantastic work done there in Elsie Dott's memory. Also, of course, on other occasions for Alice and for BB as well. Right, let's move on to sport. Ian is here in the studio. The Salford Red Devils in Rugby League, Super League, have had a shocker of a season, and the crunch is on the way for them.
Yeah, Rog, the club's had its share of financial woes over the years, and it now faces a meeting with HMRC on Wednesday over a potential winding up order. It comes in a season defined by defeats, delayed wage payments and departures, including several key players and a CEO. So what happens next? Well, we spoke to experts and supporters ahead of yesterday's match at home to Hull FC. Last season was one of Salford Red Devils' most successful of the Super League era, as they finished fourth and made the playoffs under head coach Paul Rowley.
We're going to get more.
Yesterday, Rowley arrived at the Salford Community Stadium in very different circumstances. The club's bottom of the table with financial problems threatening its status.
And there's no official relegation, but it's judged on performance, finance, attendances, and they were one of the lower ranked clubs last year. So they are in danger of going down. There's talk of Super League going to 14 teams, which may save Salford, but unless things do improve, then they are a big threat of being in the championship.
Salford requested early payment of their 2025 revenues in November, but by January were ordered by the RFL to sell players. A takeover led by businessman Dario Berta promised significant investment, but with the club under a sustainability cap, a depleted team were annihilated in their season opener.
You know, they scored a try against St Helens recently. You know, in the last minute, they were being hammered. Sam Hill went in at the corner, probably the biggest cheer of the whole season so far here.
Well done, Sam Hill.
You cannot in any way, shape or form question the commitment, but they haven't got the experience, and unfortunately, they haven't got the quality.
To date, their only Super League win came in round 5 against Huddersfield Giants.
Now, normally on a matchday feature we'd be inside the stadium, but on this occasion the club rejected our request for access.
Instead, we headed to the Dog and Partridge pub, pre-match meeting place for many devoted supporters.
It's been a bit heartbreaking. Seen a lot of fans disappearing now, who were just throwing the towel in and not backing the team up. It will happen. This will get better for Salford. I was told a few months back that fasten your seat belts because it's going to be a rocky ride, and it is a rocky ride.
We've got over 150 years of club history there. The owners have not even come out and spoke to anybody, and we need to know what's going on.
I don't know what's going to happen with the club anyway, whether it'll fold or not. But regardless, we have to keep going. Can't give up, can you?
Salford started yesterday's match with a staggering 4 debutants. For a while, a rare win seemed possible.
But Hankinson will get over to finish.
At one point, it was 6-6 before Hull FC scored 32 points without reply, but off-field problems are the main concern.
Paul King, the former CEO, has had to secure loans of personal guarantees from his house to keep the payroll going. They've got a bridging loan which will need to be backed up by further investments. So that they're after the stadium and the land. If they can secure that, then I think the club's future will be secure. But if it's not, then we're back to square one.
An important week lies ahead. Yeah, worrying times, really. Also over the weekend, there were defeats for Wigan Warriors and Warrington Wolves, but St Helens beat Leeds and Lee Leopards here won at Catalan Dragons. David Armstrong with this late try to confirm victory. The result sent his side third in the race for those playoffs. Gutted for him, Ilkay Gundogan scored twice as Manchester City thrashed United Arab Emirates side Al Ain 6-0. To reach the last 16 of the Club World Cup. If Pep Guardiola's side beat Juventus, they'll finish top of Group G. And Lancashire are batting on day 2 of their County Championship Division 2 match against Kent in Blackpool. Standing captain James Anderson took 2 wickets as Kent were all out for 374 in their first innings. Lancashire have responded well, though. This was Luke Wells making his half-century. He's 57 not out, and at the close, Lancashire were 120 for 1. We might well be going there tomorrow, Roger, as well, if the weather holds.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
We'll find out, shall we? Kay will be here in a minute. Ian, thank you very much. Ian with all the sport for us tonight. As I say, Kay will be here with the forecast in just a minute. But before that, the weekend saw thousands of bikers heading for Barrow for the second Dave Day extravaganza in memory of the hairy biker Dave Myers, of course. They travelled from London to Cumbria in memory of the TV chef who died last year at the age of 66, and Dave's wife Lily and TV partner Cy King were there as the convoy rolled into Dave's hometown. Phil Chapman was there too.
They left London in sunshine, arrived in Barrow in summer rain, but there was nothing but a shower of love and respect for Dave Myers as the convoy of thousands of bikers arrived in his hometown. And for his widow Lily and best friend and hairy biker Cy King, Dave Day 2 was all about everything he represented.
It's a celebration, and that's what's important. That's what we wanted to bring in Barrow. They hope, they smiles on people's faces, see people happy, having a really, really Dave Day.
It's a joyous celebration of me best mate. That's what it means, and it's everything that it's the culmination of what motorcycles are about. It's about community and friendship and fellowship.
It hasn't been easy. We've got there, you know, and it's just a wonderful feeling.
Dave belongs to Barrow, but people travelled from far and wide to celebrate his life.
We come from Cirencester in the Cotswolds, and we both love food, and we both love sitting and enjoying and watching the hairy bikers, and we love motorbikes. We love everything he stands for, really.
We travelled up from Stoke-on-Trent, love Dave and Cy. Programmes were brilliant, recipes were brilliant. Always watch the programmes when they're travelling around the world. Absolutely great.
I love the places he used to go to, and it inspired me and my friend here to go around Europe. So yeah, it meant a lot.
He was a swell guy, a legend, an icon.
Bikers Laura and Ryan even owe their relationship to Dave after meeting last year at the first Dave Day.
It's just a Barrovian spirit, you know, proper nice people, and Dave was sort of like the best of the Barrovians, I think a lot of people would say. And bringing us two together, I wish he was here so I could shake his hand.
We got talking, didn't we? And that's been it since. And here I am now on the back of his bike doing Dave Day 2.
Across town, even the Dock Museum was renamed the Dave Museum for his special weekend. And the Dave Effect is even helping to raise the profile of this part of South Cumbria.
Dave's somebody that the nation loved. He's a true Barrovian. He loved where he came from. And we all loved Dave and what Dave did. But it's fantastic for the town and really puts us on the map.
We've been down many a winding road together, haven't we?
Dave died early last year after his battle with cancer, but his legacy lives on. The exhibits and stories about his amazing life will continue at the museum until October, and who knows, there might need to be a Dave month next year to accommodate his ever-growing community of fans.
Happy Dave Day!
Phil Chapman, BBC North West Tonight, Barrow.
Every day's Dave Day in my house. I've got one of his curry cookbooks. It's absolutely brilliant. Right, let's have a look at the weather. Kay is here. The end of the heat wave was pretty brutal when it came.
It was muggy.
It was. And you've got a new place on the map.
Yes.
Tonight.
Ooh, keep your eyes peeled.
It's not Gooseberry. It's not Gooseberry. It's... Well,
that is literally where it is.
That was Goose Street.
Oh. Every week we ruin that. Right, this morning it was a cloudy start. Thank you for sending your photograph in. It brightened up and actually some decent spells of sunshine, but noticeably breezy. And the winds are going to be fairly noticeable as we head through this week. Thank you for sending those photos. If you do want to follow me on socials or become a BBC Weather Watcher, as always, I'd love to see them. So this week's forecast, how are we looking? Well, breezy, as I mentioned, strong winds, particularly today, tomorrow, and then towards the back end of the week. Midweek, muggy nights are going to return, looking at overnight lows of about 16 degrees. And it will be changeable. Spells of rain, spells of sunshine right throughout the week. Low pressure is in charge, and that's the reason for that change. And you can see what's going on through tonight. We've got this front working its way in. So for the Isle of Man, I think you'll start getting some rain towards around midnight across all parts. The winds will strengthen as well. So we wake up tomorrow morning with a fair bit of rain out and about. It's fine at the minute, but cloud has already increased. You can see those outbreaks of rain starting to filter in. Some of it will be heavy, but it is a showery component, so there'll be some dry bits as well. Temperatures down to between about 11 and 14 degrees, but still quite a blustery breeze for tomorrow morning. And there will still be some of that overnight rain lingering. That will clear off to the east, and we are going to see a lot of dry weather into the afternoon. We'll see it brighten. There will be some spells of sunshine, but still the risk of the odd isolated shower or two. Top temperatures come in at around 21 degrees. Now, a brief respite in the weather with high pressure in charge for Wednesday before we get further fronts pushing in. That said, there will be times where it is dry and fine. So overnight rain into Thursday, then it will become better as we head through the day on Thursday. And then as we head towards the end of the week, it looks like the winds are really going to strengthen as we go through Friday. Now, it will be a blustery feeling day with some spells of rain at times, but if we go towards the weekend, things start to settle down. So for Saturday, you might have spotted it on the map. Goose Tree, they have got Rosa Tomlinson, the Queen, on Saturday at the parade. Thank you, Dave, for sending that in. Roger, that's the
new
forecast.
Rose Queen at the weekend,
Yes,
is it? Oh, very nice. Kay, thank you very much. Just as promised before we finish, we'll take you back to that fire in Manchester in one of the city's oldest buildings. These shots have just come into us. Drone pictures of the blaze at the Hotspur Press. It's around 225 years old. It was the centre, one of the buildings, of course, at the centre of the Industrial Revolution. It was derelict under some plans of whether or not it was going to be redeveloped or whatever. People have been moved out of nearby apartment blocks. Oxford Road train station has been closed, so no trains coming out of there or going in this evening. Many roads in the city centre also closed, and as you can see, it's drawing quite a crowd. We'll have the latest on that at 10:30 on our late news. Sam Nanda will be here with that. But from all of us at 6:30, thank you for watching. Whatever you're doing, have a great evening. Bye-bye.